your host, Nate. I want you to stay tuned to the end of this episode because there is a little bit of an emergency update that we had to do after we recorded this. This ended up being some information that came out very shortly after we finished recording. So stay tuned for that. It's interesting and, in my opinion, kind of hilarious. Bobby.
Yep.
Miss Corn on the Bob. Bob Salad. Turkeys go bobble bobble. We have another holiday episode.
It's appropriate. I like.
I like when
bobble
I can make you. I like when I can make you laugh.
Yeah.
To where you have to kind of turn away from the mic. That's I know I did something good there.
That's good. I like the bobble.
Yeah, turkeys go bobble bobble.
All right. What are we talking about today?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Got any big plans? Going to the family?
I am going to go to Brandy's family on Thanksgiving Day, and then but the day before, I'm going to my mom's.
Nice.
And I will have to take some Gaviscon with me because we are going to have my mom's amazing spaghetti, which she makes the best spaghetti in the world. It's
good.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Awesome.
So I'm excited for that.
It's a little different. You don't get spaghetti very often for Thanksgiving. I like it.
Oh, I get it every year.
Well, I mean, you do, but that's not a traditional
I
thing.
request it.
That's
And
awesome.
it's funny because, like, they're like, oh, we can go to Bob Evans for their Thanksgiving dinner and all that. I'm like, no, spaghetti, please. I want my mom's spaghetti. I can't have that kind of stuff very often. So we have a special Thanksgiving episode.
Nice.
Now, when we do this one, you're going to be wondering what makes this a Thanksgiving episode.
Mm-hmm.
But stick around to the end and you will find out why this is a Thanksgiving episode, in my opinion.
You gotta wait all the way to the end?
Yes. Because the subject itself is not what Thanksgiving is about. So I have a bit of a meme for you to read.
Well, you better. I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
It'd be odd, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the Meme English show doesn't have a meme?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The show
lose all our listeners.
The podcast about memes doesn't have any memes on this one. So I need you to just read this meme on the left side here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got a picture of Snoop Dogg. Everybody loves Snoop Dogg. And if you don't, you should.
I agree.
And it says, after much consideration and conversation with my family, I've decided to give up smoke. Please respect my privacy at this time. And then it's signed Snoop Dogg. Well, right away, I'm not believing that.
Yeah, so, and you may or may not have good reason to not believe it.
You know what? It might not be a bad idea, though, because, if you smoke it, it's bad for your lungs. So just do edibles instead, right? And then you get a nice little piece of candy or a brownie or something. And...
Yeah. I mean, and that's something to kind of think about and really focus on this. So, like, so in the image you've got Snoop Dogg with his hands kind of folded and up to his face, like in that sort of very serious, contemplative way. As he's saying, after much consideration and conversation with my family, I've decided to give up smoke. He says smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, he didn't say marijuana.
Nope.
Okay, he didn't say that.
Yeah, he might be giving up cigarettes.
Yeah,
does he smoke cigarettes? I don't know.
I don't think he does.
I don't think so either. But maybe.
Yeah. I will say, okay, a couple things. I want to say a couple things about Snoop Dogg.
What's up?
One, his voice doesn't sound like he smokes.
No.
His voice is smooth as fucking butter. Like, it is one of the smoothest voices I've ever heard.
That's true. I never thought about it like that, but you're right. He doesn't sound like he's not that raspy, gravelly voice.
He's got a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
And, like, fantastic for rapping,
Maybe he drinks a lot of tea.
That bow, wow, wow, yippee, yo, yippee, yay. It's like, it's so consistent. There's no break in his voice. He's just, I love it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely love his voice. I love his rapping. The other thing I want to mention too is, like, for somebody who supposedly smokes as much weed, which we're gonna get into how much weed he actually smokes.
Oh, I'm a little scared to hear that number.
we're gonna get we'll get into that. But for somebody who smokes as much weed as he does, he's sharp as fuck. Like, he's a smart guy.
It's surprising. Yeah, you'd think it would dull him a little bit, but it doesn't seem to slow him down.
No, and like
maybe it's fake. Oh, he's just pretending to smoke.
Well,
Whoa.
I don't know. Like the thing is, so in any group that he's in,
Yeah.
he usually sounds smarter than the people around him. You know, he always has some kind of input and some kind of clever thing, and he's super quick. You know, like
Yeah.
he's quick to, and he's very good at so many different things.
Yeah.
Like he has co-hosted many shows,
Mm-hmm.
and is fantastic. Never misses a beat, and he's he's a phenom at The Price is Right.
Oh yeah.
He's a fucking genius at The Price is Right.
That's one of the best episodes I've ever seen. Was he was with somebody and he was giving him advice and he was like,
He's
spot
right.
on.
He's right
He
every
was right,
fucking
man.
time.
He knows how much that fucking rice-a-roni costs.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. No, he's great. He's good at that.
Yeah.
You know, and and maybe that part of that might have been, you know, growing up in the ghetto and needing
Could be.
to know
Yeah,
what
he
prices
had to
are
budget.
like.
Yeah.
And so that maybe that stuck with him, and he's always been about, you know,
Could be.
prices. And I've seen him do shopping before,
Mm-hmm.
for Jimmy Kimmel Live. And he haggles prices. Like
Oh, yeah.
he discusses, like, even though he's got plenty of money,
Oh, yeah.
he still haggles the price, you know, just I think for the practice of it, you know.
Could be, yeah.
But
Maybe he enjoys it.
Yeah,
Fun
yeah.
little hobby for him.
And I wonder sometimes if he's like, the reason why he smokes so much weed is to knock him down a couple pegs to where he fits in a little better with
That
the
could be.
average.
Maybe
like,
he's a super genius.
yeah,
and he
maybe
doesn't-
he's like fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
and like
it
he
makes him
has,
uncomfortable.
yeah, and he has to dull himself down to a human level.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah,
We should be working at NASA, you know?
yeah. But I mean, he probably wouldn't fucking want to.
No, I mean, who wants to work at NASA?
Yeah,
They don't even do rockets anymore. It's all Elon.
Ugh.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's
Which,
an interesting thought. I never
uh,
considered that before.
Just the other day, Elon blew up one of his rockets. So
Did he really?
yeah, well, it was the biggest rocket ever created.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna make one,
Yeah, it had to be, you know. But
the top of it was so high it was actually in space before it took off.
well, we were actually we discovered that we didn't actually have to launch the rocket. We could just jump off the tip of it onto the moon's surface, and
Bitch to climb up there. I hope they built an elevator in the middle of it.
yeah, we had to have a rocket to get us to the top of the rocket.
See a guy in an astronaut suit just jumping out like flying squirrel style. He's, ah!
Yes,
Sticks
perfect.
to the windshield. Just... The guy inside turns on the wipers.
Oh God. Okay, we have a meme to talk about.
Ah, but we're on a roll. We don't need a meme.
So, I'm calling this episode "Snoop Snubs the Smoke,"
All right.
because Snoop Dogg, he's giving up the smoke, Bobby.
Mhm.
Bobby, he's giving up the smoke.
I don't believe it.
Well, this post did not come from a weird third party trying to spread nonsense. This actually did come from Snoop Dogg's social media accounts.
Okay.
And the place where I found it was on his actual Instagram, which he posts to pretty frequently, actually. And in fact, we're going to do a live check on his Instagram at some point here because
Ooh.
he has been posting about every 8 hours. So
Okay.
he's
Probably
been posting.
something new.
He's been posting pretty quick. So there's probably something that we're not caught up with, and we're going to do that during this podcast.
Okay.
So why is this a big deal that Snoop Dogg is giving up weed?
Well, it's
or-
going to really screw up the marijuana market.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that too. So Snoop Dogg obviously is known for smoking quite a bit of weed. Let me quote from The Guardian here.
Him and Martha Stewart.
So this was. Do you remember when Snoop Dogg became Snoop Lion?
Briefly, yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, so
kind
he-
of remember that.
Kind of went
I
like
never heard
I
why.
think it went like a Rastafarian kind of thing, you know. But
Just a more majestic animal kind of thing. I never heard the reason behind it.
It was like a self reinvention thing.
Okay.
He's a father and now a grandfather, and he's talked about how he wants to be better as a parent and things like that. So he has gone through some evolutionary changes in order to reinvent himself
Okay.
and to build better habits, that kind of thing.
Right.
Which Snoop Dogg does impress. The impression I get from him is that he is a person who's constantly trying to become better than the person he was.
Okay.
And I get that impression a lot from.
Sure.
From
Yeah,
him.
I can see that.
Let me quote from The Guardian, kind of regarding how much weed Snoop Dogg smokes.
I bet it's a lot.
So this is from an article titled "From Snoop Dogg to Snoop Lion: The Reinvention of a Gangster Rapper." He's the former pimp married to his childhood sweetheart, the shrewd businessman who smokes 30 joints a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I smoked 30 my entire life.
30 joints a day, man.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of weed. All right, 30 joints a day. That's a lot of weed.
I wouldn't be able to function.
Yeah.
Like,
But to further this point, I would like to quote from The Hollywood Reporter. The 50-year-old marijuana advocate famously smoked a joint walking the red carpet at the MTV Movie Awards in 2021, and has business ties to various edibles and weed strains. He once said he smokes 81 joints a day. 81 joints a day. That's a lot of weed.
that's just like constantly smoking. Like you smoke one, you finish it, you can light up another one.
Yeah, 81 joints a day. That's a lot of weed there. Yeah. But to take this point even further, let me quote the Daily Mail. Exclusive. Exclusive. I want to see my grandkids grow old. Snoop Dogg reveals he moderated his weed intake after becoming a grandfather, despite his blunt roller claiming that he smokes 150 joints a day.
All right, now that's
150 joints
that's
a day.
ridiculous.
That's a lot of weed. Wait, was there an inconsistency in there somewhere?
Yeah, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Looking back at my notes now, it's almost as if none of those numbers matched each other.
Yeah, they just kept getting bigger. But okay, so say you were thinking like cigarettes. If you divided that into cigarettes, like there's 20 cigarettes in a pack, right?
Yeah.
So he's smoking like 7.5 packs a day. Is that right?
Which I'll be honest, I have heard of people who smoke 6 packs a day.
It's possible, but you really got to work at it. I
yeah,
think.
but
Like,
that's got to be at least half your day. You know?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. So I still love this quote from Bill Hicks, where he's talking to audience members, and he asks if there are any smokers in the crowd because he lit up a cigarette during his set, and he asked this guy in the crowd, "How much do you smoke?" And the guy says, 2 packs a day. And Bill Hicks laughs and he goes, "Lightweight, I go through 2 lighters."
Wow.
Which he's fucking around, but
Yeah.
he was a heavy smoker, you know. But he was able to give it up, and I thought that was,
That's good.
that's pretty good.
I wonder how long it took for him to feel a difference. Like, obviously you're going to be miserable because you've given it up, but like afterwards, like how much
I
difference did
think he
feel?
died of lung cancer, so
Too little, too late.
yeah, it may not have had as much of an impact as somebody who would have quit earlier.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he's going through 2 lighters a day, that's an awful lot of cigarettes.
It still would feel good,
yeah.
like to not have that in your
Yeah,
life,
just to have
like
fresh air in
like,
there.
I'm sure like the first week was awful, but once you get past that,
Yeah.
the only thing would be missing the habitual part of it, and I'm sure physically you would feel a lot better, but
Yeah.
2 lighters. But looking at these headlines though, or looking at these articles, it's weird. It's almost like they have all completely different claims on how much weed Snoop Dogg smokes.
Yeah, so what was the range again? It started at 30 and it went to 150? Is that right?
Yeah, so
30,
there was one
30,
said
80,
30, one said 81, one said 150.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost as if nobody fucking knows how much weed Snoop Dogg smokes.
Here's the problem. Okay, so at the beginning of the day, they're like, okay, I'm gonna follow Snoop around. I'm gonna count how many joints he smokes, and then like the contact high gets to him, and they're like, I don't know, was that a joint? And you just keep writing numbers down.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a different tally.
Just being in the vicinity of Snoop Dogg gets you all fucking like you're too intoxicated just being in his presence to even count. And at that point, counting the joints is like counting sheep. It's gonna put you to sleep anyway.
Oh yeah, even if you weren't insanely stoned. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be straight up. Nobody fucking knows how much weed Snoop Dogg smokes.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows how much weed he smokes.
And it really doesn't matter. I mean, it seems to work for him. He's functioning fine as a human, better than most, it seems like.
Yeah.
So who cares, really?
Really. I mean, if he's,
he's providing jobs for people.
Yeah, and if he is a major stoner, which seems like he is, he's a high functioning one, and so it doesn't seem to have a negative impact on him or his career or his capabilities of doing things.
Yeah,
like he's everywhere all the time. He's a busy guy. He's on Martha Stewart, Jimmy Kimmel, Price is Right.
That show he was doing with the nature documentary things.
Oh
yeah.
Those no, I don't know if he does or not, but
those were good.
Fuck, he's a busy he has so many projects going on all the time, and
I heard the other day, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that he's starting up a video game company.
Is he real?
That's what I heard. Death Row Games or something like that.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's been a thing for a little while.
Has it? Okay, I
so.
just saw it the other day, so I wasn't sure.
I should look into that, but that's not part of the podcast today because I didn't even think of that. But I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, he's a busy guy, and he's clearly doing well.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. No, he's successful and he's a hardworking person. So
yeah, and it's just doesn't work that way for everybody.
I do. Yeah, true. Yeah, a lot of times people who get stoned a lot, they just end up on their couch and not accomplishing.
Yeah,
shit.
they have a snack and a nap, and that's about it. And
yeah. They don't accomplish a lot.
Yeah,
but not everybody's Snoop Dogg.
That's true. But now that it's legal, we're finding out. Some people do okay with it. Some people do better with it. It can help with pain. It can help with anxiety. A lot of different things.
Yeah,
so it's not as evil as everybody said it was.
I think that, I don't smoke weed myself, and I don't intend to, but I don't think it's necessarily that bad of a thing.
No, I don't think so either.
And I think it does a lot of good for a lot of people, too. So
you just need to know what it's like adjusting your medication, Some people take anxiety medication, some people just get high,
Yeah,
I mean, it just depends on what works for which person.
Yeah, and one thing, I get anxious if I take Benadryl.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay.
And for most people, it just knocks them out.
Yeah.
It might knock me out at first, but I'll wake up with an anxiety attack. So
nice.
So
it's
good. Not like the things don't affect people the same way.
Yeah.
And so I'm not against people smoking, people smoking weed.
Clearly it works for Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. I don't think it's a problem. Just don't do it and drive or work or, things like that. So, one thing I do want to address in these articles I just quoted is the last one, talking about his blunt roller claiming he smokes 150 joints a day. So, one thing very obviously wrong with that is they call the person a blunt roller.
Yeah, it's completely different. A blunt's way bigger than a joint.
Yeah, and the blunt roller claims that he smokes 150 joints a day.
Already he's wrong.
Yeah, so it just the sentence alone, I think they could have vetted a little better.
Yeah,
but and that's from Daily Mail. But and we're going to get into some other news articles that these news articles, the fact that they don't take their job seriously pisses me off because they're getting paid to do a thing I like to do. I would love to get paid to do their job, and they can't fucking do it, But anyway. There has been a little bit of a controversy between this claim of Snoop Dogg smoking 150 joints a day and Snoop Dogg's own claims and behavior. He does, in fact, have a professional blunt roller.
I'm not surprised. That would
And
be a full-time job, especially if he's doing 150 a day.
well, we're getting to that.
Again,
so,
though, I think that was like a contact high thing, and the blunt roller, you just got confused. He was like, sitting next to Snoop all day, rolling joints or blunts or whatever. You're not gonna be able to focus very well.
we're about to get to that as well. We're getting to all that. We're getting to all this. So basically, this professional blunt roller had been quoted as saying that she rolled roughly 450,000 blunts or joints for Snoop Dogg since 2016.
Okay.
I think that was an interview in 2021, which would, depending on how you do the math, could equal maybe 80 to 150 joints a day. And I think that's probably where people are coming up with this, 150 joints every day.
Right. And also, I mean, is this just for him? I mean, like if he sits down with some friends, are they passing it around?
We're getting to it. We're getting to that actually.
Right.
So, when this came out, Snoop Dogg was a little pissed, and he posted online.
Why was he pissed? Just because it made it sound so ridiculous?
We're getting to that.
Well, you want me to?
No. I know.
You want me to participate? Damn it!
No, we're getting. Well, no. It's a good question because that's what I'm actually about to get to next.
Answer
it. He said, "Bitch said I smoke. Bitch, this is all day's work. Stop lying. Fuck, I'ma smoke all that weed in one day. What am I, a fucking machine?" Which is a good point.
I mean, that would be some serious smoking. Like I said, if it's 7.5 packs a day, that's like smoke. When it goes out, you smoke the next one, and then when that goes out, you just like chain smoking. I mean, that would be ridiculous.
So, what the professional blunt roller actually said, according to her, what she actually said was that she has twisted 450,000 blunts since she started working for Snoop Dogg in 2016.
Okay, again, though, it's blunts or joints, because that's two different things. A blunt can be a lot bigger than a joint.
Right, yeah. And I honestly, at this point, I don't know how to take it.
Yeah.
I'm just
I think they're all just fucking stoned. Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah, which Snoop Dogg did post a picture of his roaches, and they look like they're small blunts.
Yeah, okay.
So
it's kind of in between.
Yeah, kind of between
big
a blunt and a
small
joint.
blunt,
Yeah,
okay.
so they look like a little bit narrower blunts. They like a little smaller than like a Swisher Sweet, that kind of size. But when this came out and Snoop Dogg got pissed, she said that she was misquoted, and that she said that she has twisted that many, but not just for him.
Okay, so for like parties and stuff,
but also she's a professional and she doesn't just work for Snoop Dogg.
Oh, okay, so other customers.
Yeah, and so she said that she had been misquoted. A couple of problems with that is one, she could have been more clear.
Yeah.
Two, she did actually claim to have rolled a lot for Snoop Dogg.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all.
and to an astonishing degree. And this kind of argument between him and his professional blunt roller, neither of them are being totally honest.
Yeah.
So Snoop Dogg kind of claimed 30 a day or something like that. You know?
I mean, that's a lot, but it's Snoop Dogg, so I wouldn't be surprised, I guess. Again, if there's other people around, he shares or whatever, you put one down, you don't finish it, and you start a new one, that kind of deal.
Yeah, well, so according to analysis of the professional blunt rollers' claims, they said somewhere between 75 to 150 joints a day for Snoop Dogg, specifically. That was what the articles were putting out as estimates based on her claims. Then Snoop Dogg comes out and completely pissed that she said this And she later came out and said, "Oh, they're misquoting me and they're misrepresenting you. We were both had by the media. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I'm not going to get in that." But there was a post on Twitter from Snoop Dogg himself.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody named Kayla Bradley asked,
"How many?" Her.
Yeah, me too. Somebody named Kayla Bradley asked, "How many blunts do you smoke in 1 hour?" Snoop Dogg replied, 81 in a day. Do the math.
Okay.
So even if she made this claim, she's not off by his own claim.
Yeah.
So she's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he just said right there, 81.
Yeah, and so he straight out said it himself. So, I'm sure that there's like a spat, and she even later said, this is private information about him. She also said that she's never had direct contact with him. Basically, she rolls the blunts and sells them to him.
Oh, okay. So she's not following him around all day. You need a blunt, Snoop?
No. Yeah,
cranking him out.
she just meets the demand.
Okay.
And
right.
They've never actually talked one-on-one with each other at any point.
Okay.
So she also said that she has multiple clients who she's never had direct contact with.
So once they leave her shop or wherever she does this, she doesn't know what he does with them. He could be handing them out, in crowds or whatever. She doesn't know.
Yeah, she doesn't know exactly what his habit really is.
Yeah, give one to the bodyguard, one to the, whoever's running the sound machine, and bus driver. Smoke that later.
Yeah, don't smoke while you're driving the bus. Do it on your break, and then just don't come back from break. So Snoop Dogg, possibly the greatest of all time at weed smoke.
I don't know.
Giving
Willie
up.
Nelson's still out there.
Are you fucking psychic? Are you fucking psychic?
No, I just know weed. No, not really. I've heard Willie Nelson
psychic?
before, though. He's still around?
Oh my God. Why do I even write a script?
You're
fucking psychic. Okay. So you may have noticed I said possibly the greatest of all time of smoking weed. And I added that possibly after I came across this clip.
How many does Willie
Seth
smoke
Rogen
every
was
day?
here last week, and we were talking about the Mount Rushmore of pot smokers, and of course you are on that Mount Rushmore. And I think that Seth is on that Mount Rushmore. Who would you put on that Mount Rushmore?
Okay, I want to try to guess. So we got Snoop Dogg, Willie Nelson, Seth Rogen, obviously. Who would be the fourth one? Let me see.
Hold on. So you said Snoop Dogg, Willie Nelson.
Seth, I would have guessed he said it before I could pause it, but that was going to be a guess of mine.
Okay.
And then I'm trying to think who the fourth one would be. Let's see. Who's really big?
I'll give you a clue that you might want to have more than one more guess.
Oh, he puts 5 people on Mount Rushmore?
Kind of.
Is Martha one of them?
Martha Stewart? No.
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to think. Are these people all alive? Because there's some people from the past.
Yeah, and it might be more obvious than you're thinking.
Could be. Dave Chappelle?
No.
I think he smokes a lot, though, doesn't he?
I think he gave up drugs and drinking.
Did he? Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
I know he did at one point, though.
Come on.
Is it a woman? There's no women on this?
No, this is obvious. This is
sure it is.
obvious. This is
I feel like I'm missing somebody super obvious.
This is and like I said, might be more than one person.
Okay.
You're overthinking. It's the most obvious people you can think of. I'm going to hit play.
I have to. Just edit that out.
I would put Bob Marley.
Bob Marley. Oh, I forgot.
Bob Marley's not alive.
Okay, but no, that's not who it
I was
is.
going to say Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Bob Marley.
All right.
Cheech and Chong.
Cheech and Chong.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I feel like they've strayed from the
But they the
mountain.
first faces on the mountain, though. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
They the ones who showed us what a mountain was.
You're right. Willie Nelson has to be on the
Willie
mountain.
P. Nelson, that is definitely on there.
So this is why I said he possibly the
By the
great.
way, Willie Nelson is the only person who's ever outsmoked Snoop Dogg.
I believe that.
You just got a jinx with Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. So you had
Cheech and Chong. Yeah, that makes sense.
you had Willie Nelson out the door.
Oh,
Like you
well,
had it immediately.
Willie Nelson, he's like the spokesperson. You know, if it's
I'm
not
so
Snoop,
surprised you didn't think of Cheech and Chong.
I feel
you know?
stupid. I knew I would.
Yeah, and I'm so surprised. I told you, like, you're overthinking.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Cheech and Chong, you know.
Yeah.
And I love how he says, they're the ones who showed us what the mountain is.
Mhm. Oh, he's absolutely right. They started.
They really impacted the weed culture. They really impacted that. Even though he may not be the greatest of all time weed smoker, Willie Nelson may hold that title.
He's probably up there.
He's at least, yeah, he's pretty up there. And there is also no doubt that Snoop's image and career are very much connected with smoking weed.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, his debut was in 1992 on Dre's solo single called Deep Cover,
Okay.
which we're going to listen to a brief little clip of that song.
All right.
This is the first time when Snoop Dogg really made it onto the scene.
Man, I ain't no motherfucking cop. Well, hit this motherfucker then. I can feel it.
Jeez, is that what it sounds like when he hits it?
Well, hit this motherfucker then.
He's using a blowtorch?
So there is a little bit that's missing from the very beginning of that.
Mhm.
The full intro, it's Snoop Dogg and this guy, and they're chatting back and forth. It's a little skit that's going on.
Mhm.
And Snoop Dogg is suspicious that this guy who he's been hanging out with for 3 months has not hit weed in front of him.
Oh, he might be a cop.
Yeah, exactly. he said, well, what do you think that means? He goes, I think it means you're 5-0. He goes, I ain't no motherfucking cop. And so Snoop Dogg goes, then hit this motherfucker then. And then gives him, I don't know, some form of weed, joint, hitter or whatever. And he hits the weed. And then essentially I think the guy is an undercover cop. I can't remember this single all that well. That was way back in,
It was a long time ago.
it was a long fucking time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
But what I do remember is The Chronic.
Okay.
Do you remember the album The Chronic?
No, not really.
I remember that album very well because
I've never really been into rap that much. Like, I love Snoop Dogg, but I was never really a huge fan of his music. I mean, I like a little bit here and there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I got interested in him because of the other stuff he does. So I'm not familiar with his music. I don't hate it. It wasn't my thing.
Yeah, so that's
Everybody's heard Gin and Juice, though.
oh yes, great song. I love Snoop Dogg. I love rap. I'm more of a metalhead.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I that is very apparent about me. But I love rap music a lot. Basically, Snoop Dogg's debut, the first words of his debut are about smoking weed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big deal that he
Yeah.
posted this thing saying he's giving up smoke.
Yeah.
This brings me to Forbes. So you know what Forbes is? Forbes magazine.
Kind of. They cover a lot of business.
Yeah, business stuff. Yeah, it's a business magazine.
Yeah. Talk about companies.
Yeah, very very big name.
Yeah.
But it brings me to Forbes, and I can't tell you how frequently I am disappointed in some of these big name magazines and newspapers for fucking things up.
Okay.
So, some people looking into Snoop quitting smoke, as he puts it, might find Forbes at the top of their search engine. And it is from an article that is titled is Snoop Dogg quitting smoke. A look at the rapper's weed history. So they've screwed up a few times in this article.
I'm sure. Well, it's not their typical thing that they cover. So, somebody, I don't know, maybe they gave it to the new guy to be like, everybody wants to know about this, but nobody wants to do it. So here, you do it.
Well, I will get into why that's not a fucking excuse.
Yeah. No, it's not, but that's probably what happened.
That's kind of my impression too, but there's some problems with that. So I'm going to cover the little screw ups.
Okay.
Then in a bit, I will get to why I consider the big swing and a miss with this article. But let's start with their little screw ups here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read a quote from the article. Snoop Dogg's association with marijuana is not just a part of his public image, but has been a consistent theme in his music and interviews. His debut on Dr. Dre's 1992 album, The Chronic, which is a slang term for high-quality marijuana, set the tone for his career. Over the years, his lyrics have frequently referenced the herb. First off, The Chronic is Dr. Dre's album.
Mm-hmm.
Snoop probably didn't name the album.
No, I don't think he did.
And even if he did, that's not Snoop's branding.
Yeah.
That's Dr. Dre's branding. He is, however, credited in the album as composer, guest artist, performer, and primary artist. So he had a huge hand in the album.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, there's some serious roles.
Yeah. But again, the album, him being featured on an album called The Chronic, has nothing to do with his branding. That's the first little screw up, I would say.
Okay.
So, but it could still be argued that he had a major hand in The Chronic as a release. But I know this album, and Snoop only references smoking weed maybe 4 or 5 times, and it's pretty brief each time. He is far more frequently referencing gang activities, murder, getting laid, and face raping Dr. Dre's enemies.
All the important things in life.
Yes. In fact, he mentions his dick or balls being in Eazy-E's mouth or Jerry Heller's mouth, and goes into details about his testicles being on their tonsils. While anytime he mentions weed, it's super brief. Like, for example, he mentions that funky stuff, which is weed, obviously.
Yeah.
Then he moves on. He mentions dropping chronic flakes, which really could have just been a metaphor since he refers to Dr. Dre's style as chronic because it don't stop. He does reference weed in other parts, but so did most rappers at the time.
Yeah.
The person who wrote this either doesn't remember or didn't listen to the album.
Yeah.
It's the Snoop's parts in the album don't hardly ever mention weed, and he's got a lot, and he contributed a lot to that album.
Mm-hmm.
And his part, it just very briefly and rarely mentions weed.
Yeah.
So, and also the other little screw up is that his debut was not on The Chronic. It was on that single deep cover, which came out first, was not featured on The Chronic, and opens with a much more pro-weed message than any of his lyrics in The Chronic. So those are all they're little screw ups, but that's from one fucking paragraph.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even try. They didn't even fucking try. I don't. But like I said, these are little mess ups.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Javier, the guy who wrote this article, didn't listen to the album. But I'm still annoyed that he didn't take the time to get past the fucking title of the album.
Yeah.
This is why I started the podcast. It's this surface level fucking thinking that make people spread this fucking crap, which, yes, marijuana is obviously a huge part of Snoop Dogg's branding.
Yeah.
Obviously. But The Chronic had almost nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
That wasn't his debut. Like, quit reading 2 fucking words and assuming you know everything. Like, this.
Yep.
Anyway.
They all don't research like you do.
It annoys me because this guy's
Yeah.
being fucking paid to do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a big magazine. This is supposed to be
This
a
is
serious
Forbes.
article.
This is
And this guy just blew it off. He probably wrote it in like an afternoon. And he's like, that's good enough.
yeah. It's like, quit assuming you know enough to publish for fucking Forbes magazine.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest business magazine, that and Business Insider, 2 of the biggest ever. Like, Forbes, like, are you fucking nuts? I mean, anyway, none of that is the most egregious misstep with this article. Which, again, was the top result when you search, say you see Snoop Dogg post that, you search, try to learn more about it. It was the top result on both Google and DuckDuckGo. What is worse is what they missed.
Uh-oh.
I want you to guess. What could be something very important that they may have overlooked when this article was written? What's something that could be missing from this? It's not something that you would know necessarily, but what's something that you can think of that, if true, might be kind of important to mention?
Okay. So did they not pay attention to his business part of it? Like his company?
Let me read a quote here from the article
Okay.
that shows how adjacent the author was. Is Snoop quitting all forms of weed, including edibles, vaping, etc., or just smoking?
Okay.
If you're going to ask that question, and you're writing for Forbes, how about looking into it?
Well, yeah.
How about researching that a little bit?
Nothing?
There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way this person researched that and did not come across what I found.
Okay.
So this post from Snoop Dogg was on Instagram on 11/16/2023.
Okay.
Something interesting happened not long before this announcement. On November 9th, just 7 days before the Instagram post, a company called Hempaco posted this on their website. Hempaco and iSpire signed landmark manufacturing agreement revolutionizing the global vape scene with celebrity products headlining with Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
Vaping. If Javier Hasse, I assume that's how you say his last name. If Javier, a senior contributor, by the way, to Forbes magazine, neglected this, that's insane. This has a potentially highly economical impact, and aspect to the very attention-grabbing statement of him saying he's quitting smoke.
Yeah.
And he specified smoke.
Yeah.
Of course, this does not mean that Snoop isn't giving up marijuana or THC in all its forms. But if you're going to ask the fucking question, is Snoop quitting all forms of weed, including edibles, vaping, etc., or just smoking? Maybe take a little bit of time to look into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's Forbes magazine. They might have been able to get a quote from Snoop.
And
Did they even try?
I looked into it, and I have a very busy day job outside of this.
Yeah.
And I was able to figure this shit out. Now, sure, some may argue that this isn't such an important subject and that Javier maybe didn't put the diligence into it that would be warranted to say a war or politics. But there would be 2 things wrong with that argument. One, obviously, if you don't know, don't fucking publish it if you are working for a company as huge as Forbes.
Right.
Do we screw up sometimes? Yeah, of course. I have on this podcast. I've left things out that I have later discovered might have been important. But I'm not a senior contributor to Forbes. And this wasn't hard to find. Plus, he asked the fucking vape question. The reason why this frustrates me so much is the fact that it is so hard to find good sources. So if this is literally your career, try fucking harder.
Right.
Number 2, you're working for Forbes. And Javier's title and expertise, I want you to guess what it is. What does he specialize in?
Hopefully it's not marijuana.
Ooh.
Is
that'd be bad, wouldn't it? That'd be
no.
really dumb.
Yeah.
Boy, that'd be really, really dumb. Let me read from his credentials here on Forbes. Javier is a cannabis, hemp, CBD, and psychedelics focused reporter. His book...
Javier. Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, Javier.
You should have just known this. You didn't even have to research at all. Maybe that was it. Maybe he was like, oh, I don't even have to research. I already know what's going on.
He was too sure of himself. Well, let me continue reading his credentials here. His book, quote, Start Your Own Cannabis Business, was published by Entrepreneur Media in 2018 and hit the #1 bestseller spot on Amazon. He is also a senior contributor to Forbes and a member of the Rolling Stone Culture Council and Entrepreneur Media's Entrepreneur Leadership Network. He was recently named High Times 100 list of most influential people in the cannabis space.
Oh, he just lost some credit.
Oh,
I'll drop him down a few spots.
Javier, I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, right?
I mean,
if anybody was going to be able to do this article, it should have been him.
Now, okay, so now I get that we can't know everything. No. So missing facts and even screwing up here or there is sometimes something we all have to deal with. But being famed as a cannabis entrepreneur, this is a huge fucking oversight. And for the millionth time, you're writing for Forbes, a business magazine. When you write about the most famous weed smoker of all time, who legitimately casts a shadow over Cheech and Chong, coming out and saying that something is attention grabbing, that he's giving up weed, it might just maybe be a good idea to see what his recent marijuana related business interests are. Snoop seems like he smokes or smoked a lot, but is crazy high functioning.
Yeah.
Co-hosting major TV shows, producing music. He's sharp as fuck. He seems like a very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, weed, at least while a person is high, inhibits a lot. Memory, motor function, reaction time, reasoning, memory. But if Snoop Dogg is high all the time, he still sounds smarter than almost anybody around him. And before anybody says anything, I want to quote Neil deGrasse Tyson when he was asked about smoking weed.
Okay.
He was on the show called Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. The best program on NPR.
Okay.
Super entertaining. And the host asked him, as the most famous astronomer, or possibly the most famous scientist of any kind alive today, does smoking weed make planetariums better?
The laser shows, definitely.
And Neil deGrasse Tyson responded with, I think you're asking the wrong question. The question is, does getting high make everything better? Of course, this deal with Ispire does not mean that this is a publicity stunt. It is still something of note, but the timing doesn't prove anything. Correlation is not necessarily causation. I still think that it's a fuck up from Forbes to not at least mention it. Now, it could be defended that the article does in fact mention that this could be a publicity stunt. This is a quote from the article. The reaction to Snoop Dogg's recent announcement has been mixed, with some fans expressing disbelief and others speculating it could be part of a marketing strategy for one or several of his many cannabis ventures. The veracity of his decision remains a topic of discussion among his followers and the broader public. To which my response is, for example, maybe his very, very timely deal specializing in vaping specifically.
Yeah.
I just don't. How do you miss that? How do you miss that shit? It's irritating. I'm irritated by it.
I can tell.
So,
But yeah, any amount of research at all should have popped that up with no trouble at all.
yeah.
But yeah, you just missed it. Yeah.
So we're about to close here.
All right.
And before we do, one thing that we've done several times on the podcast is sort of check on a celebrity's politics.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't this time because it wasn't a political post, but I did stumble across Snoop Dogg's politics as I was researching for the episode. So a note to anybody who wants to try to use Snoop as their right-wing mascot. According to The Guardian, he is, quote, a staunch Democrat.
Okay.
Now, some people might be wondering, what makes this a Thanksgiving special?
I was wondering.
Yeah. What could possibly make
I'm
this
thankful
a
for Snoop.
Thanksgiving special? I am thankful for Snoop, too. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But we're going to close here
Okay.
because Snoop Dogg doesn't really want people digging into him no longer smoking. He says to respect my privacy at this time.
Yeah. He's also got to understand, though. I mean, this is kind of the thing he's known for, and he's just saying he's.
It's a big
stop.
deal. It's a big deal.
So it's gonna stir up some.
Everybody's
some
gonna be
controversy.
talking about it.
Yeah.
But leave Snoop alone.
Yeah.
You know,
I get that.
don't try to talk to him.
He's entitled to his privacy.
Don't send him a bunch of messages asking what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, I think, maybe some words of encouragement, but if it's a hard thing that he's going through, which I imagine to be fucking difficult.
yeah.
If you smoke that much, it'd be difficult to let it go. Words of encouragement, I think, are probably fine, but don't aggravate Snoop Dogg about this stuff. I do like discussing it, though, because it is kind of a big deal. It's interesting. Yeah. But to close us out and to celebrate Thanksgiving, I am going to go through Snoop Dogg's favorite recipe for mashed potatoes.
Okay.
So, Snoop Dogg, modern day Renaissance man, by the way.
Yeah, I've heard he's a decent cook. He has a cookbook.
He's got cookbooks.
Yeah.
Yes, he's got
more than one.
I think he has two, and I think his first one is called Goon with a Spoon. Yeah, fantastic name.
That's great.
And we're going to talk about Snoop Dogg's cognac mashed potatoes.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
So you're going to need 4 pounds russet potatoes, peeled and chopped.
Peeled, huh? I like to leave the skins on mine personally, but all right.
He likes them peeled.
All right, that's fine.
You're going to need a half cup or 4 ounces of cognac or other brandy.
Okay.
4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. 2 cups of heavy cream.
Okay.
Half cup of mayonnaise.
Interesting.
2.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. 1 teaspoon of cracked pepper. And what you're going to do is bring a large pot of heavily salted water to a boil over high. Reduce heat to medium high. Add potatoes. Cook, stirring occasionally until tender, about 25 minutes. Drain and set the potatoes aside. Then you're going to return the empty pot to the stovetop over medium. Add cognac. Cook until slightly reduced and alcohol is cooked off, so about 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Whisk in butter until melted. Whisk in cream and mayonnaise. Cook until slightly thickened and warm, about 5 minutes. Return potatoes to the pot. Add salt and pepper. Using a potato masher, mash until combined and smooth.
Okay.
Sounds fucking delicious.
I mean, yeah, I've never put mayonnaise in my potatoes. But,
I haven't either.
I've dipped,
I didn't know. I
French
didn't
fries.
know it was a thing.
You do French fries and mayo? You ever try that? Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really good.
Oh yeah. I don't
So-
like ketchup, so like yeah.
So that
But-
that could be really good. I'm gonna have to try that. How much was it? 4 pounds of potatoes and how much?
I'll send you the whole recipe.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll try it. I don't know about the cognac
yeah.
part, but yeah, I'll give it a shot. I don't have brandy around the house. I'll have to watch
I'll take a shot. But
it. One for you, one for me.
yes, 2 for you, 1, 2 for me. All
That's
right.
interesting. That sounds pretty good. All right, I'll give that a shot.
Yeah. So I decided to make this the Thanksgiving episode because as I was researching, I happened across that recipe that Snoop Dogg came up with, and it
that's awesome.
sounds fucking good. I kind of want to try it.
Hey, I'll always take a recipe from a stoner. That's gonna be. It's either not gonna make sense or it's gonna be the best thing you've ever eaten.
Yeah. Well, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you all so much for listening. This has been the Memingless Podcast, because sometimes memes are meaningless. In this case, the meme wasn't meaningless, but it was interesting to look into. Thank you all so much for listening. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
So, this is our Red Alert emergency update that everybody needs to know about. Snoop Dogg is, in fact, giving up the smoke. But not in any way you would ever see coming. I absolutely had no idea that this is what it was going to be. He has signed a deal with smokeless fire pits, which is one of the best trolls I've ever seen from a celebrity. This was fantastic. He has given up the smoke in his fire pits, and it's just not something I would have guessed in a million years. It's fantastic. It's very funny. I find this quite hilarious. Thank you all so much for listening. Goodbye, everybody.